We are being accused that these guys are not paying tax. They're making a lot of money. Yes, we're making a lot of money, but we are paying our share, in fact, more to the government exchequer. Individual effort is starting on climate finance, irrespective of what Mr. Trump thinks. Obviously, Mr. Trump doesn't believe in climate change, so. But that part is not going to affect Pakistan immediately. I mean, he can stop the funding of World Bank or whatever, but I don't know what he's going to do. But at the moment, IFC and some other organization are continuing business as usual of what they want to do on the climate finance.
When you go to an account and you need to have a utility bill or a phone bill or something, it's just tedious to shift accounts. Hello and welcome to All Things Money. My guest today is Muneer Kamal, CEO and General Secretary of the Pakistan Banks Association. Hello, sir. Welcome to my show. It's a pleasure having you.
Taking me in this program.
So recently, the Pakistan Banks Association held the first ever Pakistan Banking Summit. What were your hopes and expectations going into the summit, and what kind of response did you get?
This banking summit was actually a result of an introspection that the banking sector did early last year, mid last year. And we came up to the program that there are certain areas that bank needs to strengthen. SME, agri, digital. And this discussion led to the fact that we had never done a banking summit. So we wanted to share what we had come to the conclusion. So we wanted to share with the rest of the people, the policy makers, the relevant stakeholders. So we decided to do a summit. And we ended up doing a 2-day summit, which not only included the SME, agri and digital, but we included ESG part, which included the climate side of things that we are facing, and inclusivity and developing leadership. So we had a fantastic 2 days, and the results were, to be honest, much more better than what we had expected. So we are very enthusiastic about it, but we are not going to finish it there. Our next step is to go through content of each such session that we had, and then develop things to do after that. So we will start this process in about 15-20 days, and then we seek each area like SME, agri, digital and others, what is required to fulfill what we want to achieve in the banking sector. So that was the background.
So I was there at the Pakistan Banking Summit, and I think the two things that stood out for me was when I entered the room, it was a sea of dark blue suits. So when we talk about inclusivity, when I attend banking events, there are no females there, much less on the stage.
That is exactly why we included this session, because we understand the fact that the females in Pakistan work environment and indeed in the banking sector. But banking sector is still far ahead with the rest of the people, and I'll tell you why. Out of about 160,000 permanent employees of the banking sector, we are at about 23,000 female. So I'm very confidently, I say that about 30,000, mashallah, educated females, educated because minimum qualification is BA. So educated females are working in the banking sector. Indeed, at the top level, you don't see much, but we've already seen a president of the second largest private sector bank, UBL, Seema Kamal.
We have Seema Kamal, we have Shamsad Akhtar, and then
No, and these are the trendsetters, and inshallah we'll get a crop. And again, the fact that we included inclusivity as a separate section was because of the fact that we've come to the conclusion that the banking sector needs to do more in bringing out the females at the top level and the middle level.
Absolutely, I think we need female leadership.
Absolutely.
Across sectors.
Correct.
Another thing that stood out for me at the banking summit was the repeated emphasis on how much tax the banking sector pays. And I think you're probably the sector that is paying the most.
Yeah.
And I get it. No one wants to be paying so much tax. I think it was at 54%. But then again, if not the profitable sector, the most profitable sector, then who is we were talking.
That's what is the reason is because we were told and repeatedly told, and the media covered only one aspect, profitability. Not realizing that how much contribution to the government is taking place. And that's where the whole story of ADR came up. And in ADR, all we were saying was that
ADRs are advanced deposit ratios, and they're an SBP requirement to push banks into lending more to the private sector.
Correct.
And there's a lot of controversy around it.
The controversy was frank. You said SBP requirement. It wasn't an SBP requirement. And this was one of our issues. The only entity in this country or anywhere else in the world who can tell the banks how much lending they need to do, 50, 100, 25, is the central bank of the country. In our case, that's State Bank of Pakistan. In this case, it was applied by the FBR that if you do not lend up to 50% on the balance sheet, we will tax you X amount. And
Is that under FBI's jurisdiction?
that is exactly our point. That was, we were thinking that, and by the way, the other distortion of this tax was, it was applied to the balance sheet. Taxes are applied to the income. So these were the two aspects we said. FBR has no jurisdiction. The only entity that can tell us how much to lend is the central bank. And if you want to take, and that's where the debate started in, guys, we are already paying X amount, and yes, talk to us. We are ready to pay more. Before the ADR went out, which was in December, the bank's tax in any case was the highest in the world. The normal corporates pay 29% tax on 10% surcharge, 39%. The banks were paying 39% tax, 10% surcharge, almost 50% tax. So when we finally negotiated and it came out to good result, we are ending up 54%. So from the rest of the bank corporate sector, we are paying 15% more. And yet we are being accused that these guys are not paying tax. They're making a lot of money. Yes, we're making a lot of money, but we are paying our share, in fact, more to the government exchequer.
I think speaking as the common person, as a salaried person, I think I'm so heavily taxed that when I see banks being profitable, then I think most people think it's okay for banks to be taxed. Banks are always painted the villains.
By the way, that's exactly what we did.